Have you ever looked at someone you once admired and suddenly realized they were not wise, not strong, not deep, but just plain foolish? Maybe it was the way they argued over nothing. Maybe it was their obsession with appearances. Or maybe it was the way they destroyed every relationship they ever touched, blaming everyone but themselves. What if I told you that Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic emperor, left behind timeless wisdom to help you recognize such people? And more importantly, to make sure you never become one of them? Stick with me till the end of this video, because these 9 signs aren't just red flags about other men, they're mirrors we all need to look into. Especially if you care about your future, your relationships, and your self-respect. And hey, if you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button and like the video. If you're on a journey of self-mastery, philosophy, and building a powerful life, this channel is for you. The Emperor's Lens. Rome, 180 AD. The Emperor Marcus Aurelius sits alone in his tent. The battle outside is brutal, but the real war is within. He doesn't write to his generals. He writes to himself. He writes to remember what wisdom looks like, what strength feels like, what a man must avoid if he's to keep his soul intact. Centuries later, his words still whisper truths in a loud, foolish world. And today, we're going to unpack 9 signs of a stupid man through the eyes of Marcus Aurelius. 1. He talks more than he listens. Let me ask you something personal. Do you remember the first time you really fell in love? Not just attraction, not a fling. I'm talking about the kind of love that makes you nervous just hearing their name, where your whole world narrows to the sound of their voice. Now tell me this, how much of that love was built on talking, and how much of it was built on listening? You see, the stupid man, Marcus Aurelius didn't use that word, but we will, is the one who thinks his voice matters more than hers. He talks over her, finishes her sentences, makes everything about him. He forgets that listening is the most powerful way to say, I see you, I care about you. Let me tell you a story. There was a guy named Armin, tall, charming, always the life of the room. When he met Layla, he was instantly hooked. She was quiet, thoughtful, deep. Not flashy, but when she spoke, you leaned in. Armin thought she was the one. He'd bring her flowers, text her long paragraphs, take her to fancy places. But here's the thing, Armin never listened. Layla would talk about her dreams, and he'd interrupt to talk about his goals. She'd open up about her childhood, and he'd turn it into a story about his own. At first, she smiled through it. But over time, her eyes stopped lighting up when he walked in. One day, she just left. No big fight, no drama. Just silence. And in that silence, Armand realized something. He had been hurt his whole life. But he had never learned to listen. Now, why does this matter to you? Because if you're watching this, there's a good chance you've lost someone you loved, or you're scared of losing them. And maybe, just maybe, it wasn't because you didn't love them enough, but because you didn't hear them enough. Marcus Aurelius once said, most of what we say and do is not essential. If you can eliminate it, you'll have more time and more tranquility. Ask yourself at every moment, is this necessary? Let's take that wisdom into love. When your partner speaks, are you really listening? Or are you just waiting for your turn to talk? When they say they're tired, do you hear, I had a long day? Or do you hear, I need you to ask about me? The stupid man thinks love is shown through gifts and grand gestures. But the wise man knows it's the quiet, patient, attentive moments that build a lasting bond. So if you've ever lost someone and couldn't figure out why, maybe it wasn't what you did wrong, but what you never gave your full attention. Think back. Who was the one person you wish you had listened to more? And now ask yourself, are you becoming the kind of man she would still want to open up to? 2. He seeks pleasure over purpose. Have you ever chosen pleasure over the person you loved? Think back to someone you once cared deeply for. Maybe she had this calmness in her voice that made your world feel less chaotic. Maybe you remember the way her hand felt in yours. Simple, quiet, grounding. Now ask yourself this. Did you love her? Or did you love the feeling of being loved by her? Because there's a difference. Let me tell you a story. There was a man named Rehan. He was good-looking, driven, popular. Women loved him, and he loved that they did. But then he met Sarah. Sarah wasn't like the others. She didn't chase him. She didn't fall for the usual tricks. She made him think about life, about himself, about what really mattered. For the first time, Rehan felt something more than attraction. He felt a calling, a pull toward becoming a better man. She didn't demand it. She simply was it. But purpose is hard. It demands discipline, growth, patience. And Rihan? He chose pleasure. Late-night parties, flirting with old flings, posting just the right picture for attention. He told himself it was harmless. He told himself he was young. But Sarah could see the truth. He wasn't building a future. He was chasing feelings. And eventually she left. No big drama. No final fight. Just this one line she texted him before she disappeared. I need someone who doesn't run every time life stops being fun. Now pause for a second. Has anyone ever walked away from you because you chased the temporary instead of building the meaningful? Because Marcus Aurelius, who ruled the most powerful empire in the world, warned against exactly this. He said, just that you do the right thing. The rest doesn't matter. He didn't say do what feels good. He didn't say follow your feelings. He said do the right thing. See, the stupid man, he lives for pleasure. He thinks love is just kisses, late-night texts, and adrenaline. But real love? It's built on something deeper. Purpose, sacrifice, becoming someone worthy of the love you receive. Let me ask you this. If the woman you loved needed you to grow up, to give up the easy path, to become focused, disciplined, stronger, would you? Or would you keep scrolling, partying, flirting, running? Marcus didn't live in luxury, even as emperor. He practiced discomfort. He fasted, he trained. He chose purpose over pleasure, because he knew the soul rots when fed only with ease. Now think of that girl from your past, or maybe the one in your life right now. What does she need more from you, another night of fun? Or a man with a mission, a man who doesn't crumble when things stop being entertaining, a man who chooses what's right, not what's easy. 3. He blames others for his misfortune. Have you ever sat alone after a breakup and thought it was all her fault? She didn't understand you. She changed. She stopped trying. She wasn't who you thought she was. It's easy, right? To put the weight on her shoulders. To walk away believing you were the victim. But let me ask you something deeper. What if you were part of the storm? Let me take you into a story. One you might find eerily familiar. There was a guy named Samir. Quiet confidence. A good job. He wasn't the loudest in the room, but people respected him. And then he met Aisha. She was fire. She challenged him. Inspired him. They had late-night conversations that made the world disappear. In the beginning, it was magic. But months passed. The spark started to flicker. Aisha became distant. Samir felt it. Instead of asking why, he got angry, cold, defensive. Every time she brought up a concern, he flipped it. You always find problems. You're never happy. You're too emotional. And when it ended, he said the same thing to everyone. She gave up, not me. But deep down, in the silence that followed, something haunted him. He remembered the nights she asked him to talk, but he watched TV instead. The times she cried, but he rolled his eyes. The day she said, I'm scared we're growing apart, and he laughed it off. He started realizing he hadn't lost her. He had pushed her away, and the only reason he couldn't see it before was because blame is easier than accountability. Now here's where Marcus Aurelius comes in. The Stoic emperor wrote, when you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant. He didn't say that because he hated people. He said it because he knew, if you expect perfection from others, you'll spend your life blaming them for your pain. The stupid man, he's always pointing fingers at his girlfriend, his job, his childhood, the system. But the wise man, he points inward first. Because here's the truth, and I want you to hear it. You cannot build love if you keep placing the wreckage at someone else's feet. Think about the last person you loved. Was it really all their fault? Or were there things you ignored, avoided, denied? Maybe you didn't cheat. Maybe you didn't yell. But did you show up when it mattered? Blame is addictive. It gives you the illusion of righteousness, but it steals your growth, your healing, your future. If you're still watching, it means something in you is ready to take ownership. And that's strength. 4. He cannot control his emotions. Have you ever said something in anger and then watched it destroy someone you loved? It might have been a sentence, a single moment, a raised voice, a slammed door, but it left a crack, and that crack never fully healed. Think back. Was there someone in your life who loved you despite your flaws, until one day your temper spoke louder than your heart? Let me tell you a story that might feel like your own. His name was Imran. He met Zara at a time when he was lost. She had this calmness, like a soft melody that soothed the chaos in his mind. Where he saw storms, she saw skies clearing, and he loved her for that. But Imran had a fire inside of him, and not the good kind, the kind that ignites when he felt unheard, the kind that exploded when things didn't go his way. He'd never hit her. He never insulted her outright. But when he got angry, his words cut like knives dipped in silence. He'd shut down, walk away mid-conversation. Or worse, lash out, say things like, "You're too sensitive. Why do you always start drama? Maybe you should find someone else if you're so unhappy." And then he'd cool down. Apologize, hold her hand, promise to do better. But the cycle never broke. Zara didn't leave right away. She loved him. She believed in him. But eventually, love without peace becomes a war zone. And she was tired of fighting. She left a note, not angry, not emotional, just honest. "You love me with your heart, but you wound me with your reactions." Now I want to ask you, have you ever driven someone away? Not because you didn't love them, but because you didn't know how to handle what was inside you. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his journal, not to impress others, but to remind himself, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." He didn't say don't feel. He said don't let your feelings master you. The stupid man? He lets his emotions drive the car. He reacts, explodes, withdraws. And then he wonders why love always feels like it slips through his fingers. The wise man? He pauses, he breathes. He responds instead of reacting. Because here's the truth. Emotions are not the enemy. But when they control you, they turn your relationship into a battlefield. So I ask you this. What would she say if she could speak to the part of you that loses control? Would she say she feels safe with you? Or would she admit she's walking on eggshells? Love doesn't require perfection, but it does demand emotional responsibility. If you're still here watching, you're already on the path. 5. He thinks he knows everything. Have you ever been in love with someone who just wouldn't listen? You try to share what you feel. You try to explain what hurts. But instead of hearing you, they correct you. They interrupt you. They act like they already know what you're going to say. And the worst part? They make you feel small for trying to express yourself. Now, be honest. Have you ever been that person? Let me tell you about someone. His name was Fahad. Fahad was smart. No question about it. He read a lot, knew a lot, talked a lot. At work, people admired him. In debates, he always won. And when he met Meher, he felt like he finally met someone who got him. She was thoughtful, curious, always learning. But unlike him, she listened more than she spoke. In the beginning, that balance worked. She admired his confidence. He loved her gentleness. But over time, something changed. Whenever Meher brought up a new idea, a book, a dream, a worry, Fahad had a response ready. "I already know that. That won't work. That's not how it is." Slowly, she stopped sharing. One day, she said softly, "Fahad, sometimes I just want you to hear me. Not fix me, not correct me. Just hear me." He laughed. "So you want me to pretend I don't know the answer?" She didn't respond. But in her silence, something broke. See, Fahad didn't realize this. When you always need to be the smartest person in the room, eventually you'll be the only one left in the room. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor himself, said, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." And love, true, deep, soul-connected love is about learning. Constantly, not facts, not logic, but the ever-shifting landscape of a person's heart. The stupid man? He confuses intelligence with wisdom. He thinks knowing facts makes him superior. But he forgets. The smartest man in the room is the one still humble enough to ask, "What can I learn from you?" Let me ask you this. Think back to someone you loved. Did you ever shut them down? Not because they were wrong, but because you needed to be right? And when they walked away, did you finally understand what they were trying to say all along? It's a painful thing to realize you were too busy talking to ever hear the truth. Love doesn't demand that you know everything. Love only asks that you stay teachable, that you make space, that you say, "Tell me more," even when you think you know where the story ends. Because maybe, just maybe, you don't. If you're still watching, that means something inside you is ready to grow. And the next sign we explore? It's one most men never see in themselves until it's too late. 6. He seeks validation from others. Have you ever looked at your phone, waiting, hoping for her to like your post, react to your story, or message you first? Have you ever felt seen only when someone else notices you? Now imagine this. There's a guy named Ayan. From the outside, Ayan had it all. Good looks, charm, thousands of followers, and a new story every day, gym selfies, fancy coffees, vacation snaps. But when he was alone, his heart felt empty until she came into his life. Her name was Fariha. She didn't care about the spotlight. She didn't even use social media much. She cared about conversations, moments, laughing at the stars, while lying on a rooftop. And for the first time, Ayan felt seen, not just admired. But here's where it began to fall apart. Ayan couldn't stop seeking attention. He'd post pictures with other girls just to make Fariha jealous. He'd ignore her texts but reply to every comment online. He needed to be noticed, even if it meant hurting the one who genuinely saw his worth. One night she asked him, "Why do you need everyone's approval? Isn't mine enough?" He said, "I just like attention. That's who I am." She smiled softly. "But that's not who you are. That's just who you've convinced yourself you need to be, to feel loved." And that hit him harder than he expected. See, Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." Read that again. We care more about how strangers perceive us than how we feel about ourselves. And the stupid man? He lives for validation. He's only happy when others clap for him. His confidence is rented, never owned. But love, real love, isn't built on applause. It's built on presence. It's built on moments when no one else is watching. When your phone is off, the world is silent and she's looking into your eyes asking, "Are you here with me?" Let me ask you this. Has anyone ever made you feel like you were enough, just as you are? And did you mess it up because you were too busy proving yourself to people who don't even matter? Love dies when you choose public approval over private connection. Ayan learned that too late. Fariha didn't leave because he wasn't good enough. She left because he didn't believe he was. If you're still watching, then maybe you felt that emptiness too. And maybe, just maybe, you're ready to stop chasing applause and start building something real. Because the next sign, it reveals how weakness hides behind fake strength. 7. He fears accountability. Have you ever hurt someone you love and instead of owning up to it, you brushed it under the rug? Maybe you said it wasn't that bad, or you're overreacting, or maybe you said nothing at all. Now let me take you into a story, one that might feel uncomfortably close to your own. There was a man named Bilal, quiet, reserved, loyal in his own way. And then came Sana, full of warmth, always expressive, always loving deeper than most could handle. Bilal was the kind of man who didn't like confrontation. If he forgot a promise, he'd joke it off. If he made her cry, he'd wait for her to calm down instead of apologizing. When things went wrong, he'd say, "You know how I am. I didn't mean it." But Sana, she kept giving him grace, over and over, until one day she didn't. They were supposed to meet her parents. She waited for him in a restaurant for 2 hours. No call, no message, nothing. He showed up the next day with a smirk and said, "You're blowing this out of proportion. It's just one dinner." She looked at him, not angry, not emotional, just tired. And then she said something that would follow him for the rest of his life. "It's not about the dinner, Bilal. It's about you always walking away from your own mess, expecting me to sweep it up." That was the last time they ever spoke. And here's the thing, Bilal didn't cheat. He didn't scream. He didn't hit. But he feared the one thing that slowly kills every relationship: accountability. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If someone can prove me wrong and show me my mistake, I will gladly change. It is the truth I seek, which never harmed anyone. But the stupid man, he avoids truth like fire. He would rather defend his ego than heal his relationship. He hides behind pride. He turns every mirror away. He thinks saying I was wrong makes him weak. But in reality, it's what separates boys from men. So let me ask you, was there someone in your life who asked for accountability, but you gave them excuses? Was there a moment when all they wanted was a sincere "I'm sorry," and you let silence speak instead? Because love, real love, doesn't require perfection. It requires humility. It requires the courage to say, "I hurt you," and that matters to me. If you're still here watching this, that means you're ready to confront something many never do. You're ready to stop pointing fingers and start looking in the mirror. Not with shame, but with the strength to grow. 8. He avoids growth and self-improvement. Have you ever loved someone and thought, if only he would grow up just a little, we could have had everything? Or maybe the truth is harder. Maybe that person was you. Let me take you into a story, one that might feel familiar. Too familiar. There was a man named Zion, ambitious in words but passive in actions. He'd talk about starting a business, reading more, going to therapy, quitting bad habits. But every day looked the same. Scroll, smoke, sleep late, argue, repeat. He met Alina during a time when she still believed that love could fix someone. She believed in his potential. She saw the way he thought, how he felt the world deeply. He was a dreamer and she loved that about him. But here's the thing about potential. It means nothing if you don't act on it. Zion would say things like, I'll figure it out soon. Next month I'll start getting serious. You just don't understand how much pressure I'm under. And so Alina waited. She gave him time, support, late-night pep talks, gentle reminders. But what she didn't realize is you can't want growth for someone more than they want it for themselves. One evening, after another argument that ended in silence, she looked at him and said, I'm not asking for perfection. I'm asking you to care enough about yourself so I don't have to carry the weight of both of us. That's when Zion realized she wasn't leaving because she didn't love him. She was leaving because he didn't love himself enough to grow, and that's the tragedy of many men. Marcus Aurelius wrote, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one. But the stupid man, he clings to comfort. He resists growth. He fears change more than he fears losing someone who believed in him. He says things like, I'm just like this, as if that's an excuse to stop evolving. So let me ask you, has someone ever believed in you while you stayed stuck in the same cycle? Have you ever lost a woman not because she stopped loving you, but because you stopped improving yourself? Growth isn't about becoming someone else, it's about becoming who you were always capable of being. That means reading one book instead of scrolling. It means apologizing when it's hard. It means going for that job interview, that therapy session, that hard conversation, because you know that if you stay where you are, you'll lose what matters most. Love doesn't survive in stagnation. It needs motion, evolution, effort. And if you're still watching this, you already know what part of you needs to grow. Don't wait until she's gone to realize she was right. 9. He lacks emotional awareness. Have you ever looked into the eyes of someone you loved and felt like they were there, but not really present? Like they heard your words but didn't feel your pain? That is what it feels like to love a man who lacks emotional awareness. Let me tell you a story about Rayan. Rayan was the kind of guy who didn't cry at funerals, didn't talk about feelings, and called emotions drama. He was raised to believe that silence was strength and feelings made you weak. But then came Noor. Noor was all heart. She cried during movies. She journaled every night. She could read energy like a book, your tone, your sigh, your silence. And at first, Rayan found that beautiful. But over time, he found it exhausting. Whenever Noor said, I feel disconnected from you, Rayan would reply, but I'm right here. When she cried after a long day, he'd say, don't overthink everything. And when she opened up about her fears, he'd say, just stop worrying. You see the pattern? To him, emotions were a problem to fix. To her, they were a bridge to connect. Until one night, after another moment of her feeling unseen, she whispered, you're not a bad man, Rayan, but I feel lonelier with you than I do by myself. That silence after she said it, it stayed in the room long after she left. And maybe that's what emotional unawareness feels like, being physically present but emotionally absent. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. But how can you have power over your mind if you don't even understand what it feels? The stupid man? He thinks being a man means not feeling. He shuts down instead of showing up. He avoids tears, avoids depth, avoids being human. But love? Love is emotional fluency. Love is sitting with her in her sadness, not to fix it, but to hold it. Love is recognizing your own anger before it becomes damage. Love is saying, I don't understand what you feel right now, but I want to. Let me ask you something. Has someone ever told you they felt unheard? Not because you didn't listen, but because you didn't feel with them. Have you ever watched a love fade? Not from betrayal or lies, but from emotional emptiness? If that memory hurts, let it, because that's the beginning of emotional awareness, recognizing what you used to numb. If you're still watching, then part of you is ready to open, not just your mind, but your heart. Don't be the man who only learns to feel after he's lost the person who craved it most. This was the final sign. Now ask yourself honestly, which one of these signs live in you? Because this isn't just a video, it's a mirror. And the moment you stop running from your reflection is the moment your real life begins. So there you have it. 9 signs of a stupid man. But let's be honest, some of those signs might live in all of us. I've seen them in myself, in moments of ego, in moments of pain, in choices I made that cost me peace. But the difference between a stupid man and a wise one, the wise man looks in the mirror and adjusts. The stupid man breaks the mirror and blames its reflection. Marcus Aurelius wasn't perfect. He struggled, he failed, but he reflected. Every day, that's what made him wise. So before you use this list to judge others, use it to check yourself. Which signs do you carry? And more importantly, what are you doing about them? With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.